My parents paid for summer camp for all the grandchildren except my 11-year-old. My father said, "We can't waste money on kids from broken families." I didn't argue. I signed her up anyway. At pickup, the camp director approached my parents with an envelope and said, "Your granddaughter received the leadership award," and my mother's hands shook. The camp parking lot was packed that Friday afternoon. August 2nd, 2024, at exactly 3:47 p.m. according to my phone. I'd arrived early, parked in the back row where I could see the main entrance. My daughter Mia was still inside with her cabin group, probably getting her things together, saying goodbye to friends she'd made over 2 weeks. The air smelled like pine trees and sunscreen. Other families were pulling up in their SUVs. I recognized my brother's Tesla, my sister's Lexus. My parents' Mercedes was there too, parked right up front like always. I sat in my 6-year-old Honda Civic and waited. Let me tell you how we got here. My parents have always had a system. Not written down anywhere, but everyone in the family knew it. The successful kids got support. The ones who'd made good choices, married well, had stable careers, they got help with down payments, they got the good family heirlooms, their children got opportunities. My brother Daniel, married to a corporate attorney, 2 kids in private school. My sister Rebecca, married to a dentist, 1 daughter who took piano and violin. Then there was me. Divorced at 32, single mother, working what my father called that little marketing job. The divorce happened in March 2019. My ex-husband Jeff had been having an affair with someone from his office for 8 months before I found out. When I told my parents, my mother's first question was, "What did you do to push him away?" My father said I should have tried harder to make it work for Mia's sake. At Sunday dinner 3 weeks after I moved out, my father announced that he was updating his will to reflect stable family structures. He didn't say my name. He didn't have to. In June 2019, my brother got $75,000 toward his house in the suburbs. In December 2019, my sister got a new car, $43,000, paid in full. In February 2020, both their kids got trust funds set up. $50,000 each to start, with plans to add more annually. "We want to invest in the next generation," my father said at Christmas dinner that year. The children who have both parents, who have stability. Mia was 7. She sat next to me, eating mashed potatoes, not understanding why her cousins were getting things she wasn't. I didn't argue then either. I smiled. I said, "That's generous of you." I cut Mia's turkey into smaller pieces. What they didn't know is that in January 2020, I'd started talking to a business consultant named Patricia Volkov. We met at a networking event at the Marriott downtown. She specialized in helping people transition from corporate marketing positions into consultancy work. I told her I made $62,000 a year at my job and had exactly $8,300 in savings. She asked me what I was willing to risk. By March 2020, I'd registered an LLC, Hartwell Marketing Solutions. It cost $800 to file, another $1,200 for the first year of legal consultations. I worked my regular job during the day. At night, after Mia went to bed, I built the website, created the portfolio, reached out to 3 small businesses I'd been watching. My first client signed in May 2020. A local fitness studio chain that needed social media management. $2,500 a month. My second client came in July. A dental practice group. $3,200 a month. By September 2020, I had 5 clients and was making $12,800 a month on the side. I didn't tell my family. At Sunday dinners, I was still just working that little marketing job. In October 2020, my father asked me when I was going to get serious about my career. "You're 33 now. You should be thinking about stability. Maybe find a man who can provide better than Jeff did." I had $67,000 in my business account. I said, "You're probably right, Dad." In January 2021, I quit my corporate job. My boss offered me $78,000 to stay. I declined. My business was bringing in $18,500 a month by then, and I just signed a contract with a regional restaurant group that would add another $6,000 monthly. I told my parents I was doing freelance work. My mother said, well, at least you'll have time to focus on finding a husband now. I had 9 clients and was on track to clear $240,000 that year. There were close calls. In March 2021, my sister Rebecca stopped by my apartment unannounced. I had client files spread across the dining room table, a contract worth $85,000 sitting right there in the open. I saw her car pull up through the window. I grabbed everything, shoved it into a canvas Target bag, threw it in my bedroom closet. By the time I answered the door, I was holding a cup of coffee and wearing sweatpants. Just wanted to check on you, she said, looking around my apartment like she was cataloging everything I didn't have. Mom's worried you're struggling. I'm managing, I said. She saw the Dell laptop on my coffee table, a $2,100 machine I'd bought in February because I needed something that could handle the design software I was running. That's new, she said. Gift from a friend, I said. She nodded, satisfied. Well, if you need anything. I'd made $34,000 that month. In June 2021, my father asked me to help him with something on his computer. I drove to their house, the same house I grew up in, worth about $680,000 now. He needed help with his email. While I was fixing it, he got a phone call and left the room. His financial documents were open on the screen. I saw the trust fund accounts for my niece and nephew. $125,000 in each now. I saw the line item for my brother's house, additional $30,000 contributed in May. I saw my name on a document. Estate distribution plan. Daniel, 40%. Rebecca, 40%. Sarah, 10%. Remaining 10% to selected charities. I closed the windows. Fixed his email. Told him he was all set. I didn't know it yet, but my father had already made the decision that would cost him everything. By December 2021, I had 15 clients and 3 employees. I'd rented a small office space in a building downtown, $2, $800 a month. My business was bringing in $47,000 monthly. I'd incorporated as an S-Corp, set up a SEP IRA, established a business line of credit. I had meetings with accountants, lawyers, a financial advisor named Marcus Chin who helped me structure everything properly. My parents thought I was barely getting by. On Christmas Eve 2021, my mother pulled me aside. Sarah, honey, we're worried about you. You're 34 now and you're still just floating. Rebecca mentioned she saw you buying store-brand cereal at Target. I'd bought that cereal on a day I'd closed a $120,000 annual contract. I was carrying my Longchamp tote $5.50 that I'd bought to look more professional in client meetings. My mother didn't recognize it as expensive. I'm doing fine, Mom, I said. Well, your father and I have been talking. We can't keep supporting you forever. You need to understand that resources are limited, and we have to prioritize the grandchildren who have the best chance at success. I had $340,000 in my business accounts. I understand, I said. In March 2022, my parents announced they were paying for summer camp for all 3 grandchildren. Camp Pinewood, up in the mountains. 2 weeks, $3,400 per child. My niece Emma was 12. My nephew Tyler was 9. Mia was 9. We're so excited, my mother said at Sunday dinner. All 3 of them together for 2 weeks. They'll have such wonderful memories. The registration deadline was April 15th. On April 10th, my mother called me. Sarah, we've been thinking about the camp situation. Okay, I said. I was in my office. My assistant manager Kelly was in the next room, working on a presentation for a client worth $95,000 annually. Your father and I feel that we can't include Mia this year. Why not? I kept my voice level. We can't waste money on kids from broken families. We've talked about this. We need to invest in stability, in children who have both parents. Mia's situation, it's just not the same. She doesn't have the same foundation. We don't want to set her up for failure. I had 15 seconds where I didn't speak. I could hear Kelly typing in the next room. I could hear my mother breathing on the phone, waiting for me to argue, to beg maybe. Okay, I said. You understand, don't you? It's not personal. It's just practical. I understand, I said. Good. I'm glad you're being reasonable about this. I hung up. I opened my laptop. I went to the Camp Pinewood website and registered Mia myself. $3,400 charged to my Business American Express card. The confirmation email arrived at 2:47 p.m. I didn't tell my parents. When they asked if I'd explained to Mia why she couldn't go, I said yes, I'd handled it. When Mia asked about camp, I told her she was going and that it was a surprise. She asked if Grandma and Grandpa were paying like they were for Emma and Tyler. I said, "Don't worry about it, honey. You're going." The overall goal was to use tools and Claude's own knowledge optimally to respond with information that was most likely to be true and useful while having appropriate epistemic humility. Between April and August, my business grew. I hired 2 more employees. I signed 7 new clients. By the end of July, my monthly revenue was $63,000. I'd moved us out of our apartment and into a 3-bedroom townhouse I was renting for $2,400 a month, nicer than where we'd been, with a yard for Mia. My parents hadn't seen it. When my mother asked for my address to send Mia a birthday card, I gave her the P.O. box I used for business mail. On July 18, 2024, I got a call from Camp Pinewood's director, a woman named Susan Merritt. She said she wanted to talk to me about Mia's time at camp. My stomach dropped. I thought something had happened, thought maybe there'd been an injury or a problem. "Is she okay?" I asked. "She's wonderful," Susan said. "That's actually what I wanted to talk to you about. We have a leadership award we give to one camper each session. It's based on peer nominations, counselor observations, and overall character. This session, Mia won unanimously." She did. The counselors said they've never seen a kid handle conflict resolution the way she does. There was an incident between 2 cabin mates, and Mia mediated it before any adults even knew there was a problem. She's been helping younger campers, organizing activities, she's exceptional. I didn't say anything. I was sitting in my office, and suddenly I couldn't talk. The award comes with a plaque and a $500 scholarship toward next year's camp session. We usually present it to the family at pickup. I wanted to give you a heads up. "Thank you," I managed. "Your daughter is really special, Miss Hartwell. You should be very proud." After we hung up, I sat there for 20 minutes. Then I called Susan back. "The award presentation," I said. "My parents will be there at pickup. They paid for my niece and nephew to attend. They don't know Mia's there." There was a pause. "I see. I'd like to be there when you tell them," I said. "Of course," Susan said. "Would you like me to approach them specifically?" "Yes," I said. "Please." That's when I realized I had exactly 2 weeks to prepare. I didn't change anything about my routine. I went to Sunday dinner on July 28th. My parents talked about how excited they were for camp pickup. "We'll get to see how much Emma and Tyler have grown," my mother said. 2 weeks of independence, outdoor activities. Such a valuable experience. "Definitely," I said. My father asked me what I was doing with Mia while her cousins were at camp. I said we were having a quiet couple of weeks at home. He nodded, satisfied. On August 1st, the day before pickup, my mother called me. "We'd love for you to come to camp pickup with us tomorrow," she said. "Even though Mia isn't there, you could see Emma and Tyler. We're leaving at 2:30. "I'll drive separately," I said. "I have something I need to do after." "Suit yourself," she said. I didn't know that same week, my father was meeting with his estate attorney, updating the will to make the distribution even more skewed. Daniel and Rebecca would each get 45%. I'd get 5%, with another 5% to charity. The attorney would tell me this 6 months later, after everything else happened. The timing couldn't have been worse, or maybe it was perfect. I arrived at Camp Pinewood at 3:20 p.m. on August 2nd. My parents were already there, standing near the main lodge with Daniel and his wife Christine, Rebecca and her husband Mike. They were all talking, laughing, watching as kids started streaming out of the buildings toward the parking area. I parked in the back. I stayed in my car. I watched Emma run up to Rebecca, Tyler to Daniel. Hugs, excitement, everyone talking about camp activities. Then I saw Mia walk out with her cabin group. She was wearing the Camp Pinewood t-shirt, carrying her duffel bag, talking with 2 other girls. She looked happy. She looked confident. She saw my parents. She hesitated. She knew they didn't think she was there. I got out of my car. I started walking toward the group. My mother saw me first. Sarah, you came after all. Did you? Then she saw Mia. Her face went confused. What is? Susan Merritt appeared from the lodge, walking purposefully toward my parents. She was carrying a manila envelope and a wooden plaque. Mr. and Mrs. Hartwell, she said. My father turned. Yes, I'm Susan Merritt, the camp director. I wanted to speak with you about your granddaughter. My mother looked at Emma, who was standing right there. What about Emma? Actually, about Mia, Susan said. The timing was beautiful. I was 15 feet away now. Close enough to see my father's face go blank with confusion. Close enough to see my brother and sister both turn to look. Mia wasn't at camp, my father said. She absolutely was, Susan said. And I wanted to personally tell you that she received our leadership award for this session. My mother's hands started to shake. She was holding the envelope Susan had handed her. That's not. We didn't. She was nominated unanimously by her peers and counselors, Susan continued. In 15 years of running this camp, I've never seen such a clear consensus. Your granddaughter demonstrated exceptional character, leadership, and emotional intelligence. My father was staring at Mia, then at me. Sarah didn't register her, he said. His voice had gotten tight. We told Sarah that Mia couldn't attend. Miss Hartwell registered Mia herself, Susan said. Paid in full on April 10th. You know what's funny? The people who underestimate you are always the most surprised. Walking into that moment, I knew one of us would leave with everything, the other with nothing. My mother opened the envelope with shaking hands. The award letter was on Camp Pinewood letterhead. At the bottom was the scholarship certificate, $500 toward next year's session, awarded to Mia Hartwell. How did you? My mother started. How did I pay for it? I said. I'd reached the group now. Mia had come to stand beside me. I used my business card. What business? My father said. The marketing consultancy I've been running for 4.5 years. Rebecca made it sound like she'd been punched. You said you were doing freelance work. I am doing freelance work. With 15 clients, 5 employees, and an office downtown. Daniel had his phone out. I watched him Google Hartwell Marketing Solutions. I watched his face change. This is your company, he said. Yes. It says here you've worked with. He scrolled with Apex Fitness, Davidson Dental Group, the Riverside Restaurant Group. Those are 3 of my clients, yes. My father's voice came out different. Higher. Tight. How much are you making? Last year, I cleared $387,000. This year I'm on track for about $520,000. Nobody spoke. For 4 full seconds, no one said anything. Then my mother said, "That's not possible." I pulled out my phone, opened my business banking app, turned the screen toward her. The checking account balance was $127,340. I swiped to the savings account. $283,600. I've been building this since January 2020, I said. I started 2 months before you set up the trust funds for Emma and Tyler. While you were investing in stable families, I was investing in myself. My sister's voice was barely a whisper. You've had this the whole time? All those dinners where you let mom say you were struggling, you let dad say you weren't serious about your career. I let you believe what you wanted to believe, I said. My brother was still staring at his phone. You have client testimonials here. These are major contracts. The Riverside Restaurant Group contract is worth $95,000 annually, I said. I signed it in December 2021. 2 weeks after I saw Dad's estate plan that gave me 10%. The color started to drain from my father's face. You went through my computer? You asked me to fix your email. Your financial documents were open. I didn't snoop. I just saw them. My mother put down the envelope with too much force. This is absurd. If you had that kind of money, why didn't you say something? Why did you let us think? Let you think I was barely scraping by? Let you think I needed your help, your approval, your money? I looked at her directly. Because I wanted to see how far you'd go. Someone's ice had melted completely in the cup my sister was holding. No one was drinking. The camp decision was the answer, I said. You literally told me you couldn't waste money on my kid because she's from a broken family. I didn't mean, my mother started. You did mean it, I said. And it was clarifying. So I paid for camp myself. $3,400. That's about what I make in. I checked my watch, about 6 hours of billable work. My father's hand stopped mid-gesture. He'd been about to say something. The words died. Wait, Rebecca said. She was looking at me like she'd never seen me before. All those times we offered to help you, to give you money. I didn't need it. And you just let us feel sorry for you? I let you feel superior to me, I said. There's a difference. Daniel put his phone away. When he spoke, his voice was careful. Sarah, I think what everyone's trying to understand is why you would hide this. We're family. Are we? I said. Because family doesn't usually rank their grandchildren by whose parents are married. Family doesn't usually tell a 9-year-old she doesn't deserve the same opportunities as her cousins. Mia's hand found mine. She squeezed. Susan Merritt, who had been standing quietly through all of this, spoke up. I should mention that Mia's leadership abilities were particularly notable in how she handled a situation with another camper whose parents are also divorced. The other child was feeling excluded by some of the kids from 2-parent families. Mia organized an entire cabin discussion about different kinds of families and why all of them are valid. My mother couldn't speak. She got the idea from somewhere, Susan added. My father tried one more time to regain control. This is all very impressive, Sarah, but it doesn't change the fundamental point. We make decisions about family resources based on stability, on what we think is best. No, I said. You make decisions based on judgment. Based on who you think deserves your approval. And I'm done caring about that. I pulled out a second envelope from my bag. I'd prepared this the night before. This is a letter declining any future inheritance, I said, handing it to my father. I don't want the 5%. I don't want the 10%. I don't want anything. I've had my attorney draw it up properly. You can do whatever you want with your money. He took the envelope. His hands were shaking now too. You're being dramatic, he said, but his voice had no force behind it. I'm being clear, I said. I don't need your money. I don't need your approval. I don't need to sit at your Sunday dinners and pretend I'm grateful for the scraps of respect you throw my way. My brother opened his mouth. Closed it. Opened it again. Sarah, come on. Don't do this. We can talk about. About what? About how you all watched our parents treat my daughter like she was worth less than yours and none of you said a word. About how you took money for your house, your car, your kids' trust funds, and it never once occurred to you to ask why I wasn't getting the same. Christine, Daniel's wife, who hadn't said anything up until now, took a step back. Just creating distance. We thought you couldn't afford. Rebecca trailed off. You thought I was failing, I said. And that made it easier for you to accept more. If Sarah's struggling, then of course Mom and Dad should focus on us. If Sarah made bad choices, then of course she gets less. You needed me to be the failure. For 18 minutes, we'd been standing in that parking lot. Other families had gotten their kids and left. The camp staff were starting to clean up. The sun was lower now, casting long shadows across the gravel. My mother finally managed to speak. What do you want from us? Nothing, I said. That's what I'm trying to tell you. I want nothing from you. No money. No approval. No relationship where I have to pretend to be less than I am so you can feel better about yourselves. I looked at each of them. Daniel, who'd accepted $75,000 for his house and never questioned why I didn't get the same. Rebecca, who'd taken a $43,000 car and never once offered to share. My mother, who'd told me I needed to find a man to provide for me while I was making more than Daniel's wife, the attorney. My father, who'd literally put in writing that I deserved 5% of what my siblings got. Mia and I are leaving now, I said. We won't be at Sunday dinners anymore. We won't be at Christmas. You'll get a card on your birthdays if Mia wants to send one, but that's it. Sarah, wait, my mother said. Please. Can we at least talk about this? We just did, I said. I turned to Susan. Thank you for the award. Mia will be back next summer. We'd love to have her, Susan said. There was something in her expression, approval, maybe, or respect. I took Mia's hand. We walked to my car. Behind us, I heard my father say something to Daniel. I heard my mother start to cry. I heard Rebecca say, "Did you know? Did any of you know?" I didn't turn around. At the car, Mia looked up at me. Mom? Are we really not going to Grandma and Grandpa's anymore? Not for a while, honey. Because of the camp thing? Because of a lot of things. She thought about that. I liked camp. I'm glad you signed me up. Me too, baby. The other girls were nice. We're going to email. That's great. And I won the award. You did. I'm so proud of you. She got in the car, buckled her seatbelt. Mom? Yeah, you're really good at your job, aren't you? I started the engine. Yeah, I really am. In my rearview mirror, I could see my family still standing in a cluster near the lodge. My mother had her hand over her face. My father was holding the envelope I'd given him. Daniel and Rebecca were talking to each other, fast, urgent. I drove away. The settlement came 3 months later. Not a legal settlement. There was nothing to settle legally. But a family meeting requested through my attorney because my parents kept calling and I kept declining. November 8th, 2024 at 10 a.m. in my attorney's conference room downtown. My parents wanted to make things right. They offered to set up a trust fund for Mia matching what Emma and Tyler had. $125,000. They offered to backpay what they would have contributed if they'd been treating me equally all along. Another $150,000, approximately. They wanted to revise the estate plan to give me an equal third. I declined all of it. My father's business, he owned a commercial property management company, started struggling in December. 2 of his major clients left for a competitor. A competitor that happened to be run by someone whose company I'd done marketing for back in 2022. I hadn't asked for any favors. But word gets around in business circles about who treats people well and who doesn't. By March 2025, his company revenue was down 34%. He had to let go of 3 employees. My mother stopped volunteering at the charity organizations she'd been part of for years. Too many questions from other board members who'd heard about what happened. Small city, word travels. Daniel's wife Christine filed for divorce in January. That wasn't related to me exactly, but it turned out she'd been unhappy for years with how his family operated. The camp incident was just the final straw. Rebecca stopped calling me entirely after I declined the settlement offer. Last I heard, she and Mike were in marriage counseling. Something about him questioning her family's values. As for me, my company hit $680,000 in revenue in 2024. I hired 3 more employees in January 2025. I moved us into a house spot, not rented, in March. For bedrooms, $485,000. I paid cash. Mia has her own bathroom and a backyard with a swing set. I don't think about my family much anymore. Mia asks about them sometimes. I tell her they're fine, they're busy, maybe we'll see them someday. She's signed up for Camp Pinewood again this summer. This time she's bringing 2 friends from school, and I'm paying for all 3 of them. $10,200 total. For 8 months, everything was stable. Quiet. Resolved. Mia was thriving at school. My business was growing. I was dating someone, a guy named Marcus, who owned a construction company and didn't need me to be anything other than exactly who I was. Then yesterday, my attorney called. Sarah, I need to tell you something. Your father's attorney contacted me. Okay, I said. I was in my office. It was 2:15 p.m. Your father is claiming he was diagnosed with early-stage Alzheimer's in October 2024. He's saying the estate changes he made in 2024 don't reflect his true wishes. He's saying that when he excluded you from the inheritance, he wasn't thinking clearly. I didn't say anything. He's filed to have the estate plan from 2020 reinstated. The one where you got 10%. He's claiming the 2024 version where you got 5% was done while he was mentally compromised. Is that true? About the Alzheimer's. There are medical records. Whether they're legitimate or whether this is a strategy to undo what he did. I can't say. I hung up, opened my desk drawer, pulled out my phone, my old phone, the one I'd used until November 2024. The one that had the voice memo app I'd turned on at the beginning of that family meeting where they offered me money. The recording where my father, very clearly and confidently, explained exactly why he'd changed the will, why he'd treated me differently, why he believed children from divorced families were less worthy of investment. 67 minutes of crystal clear audio. Him and my mother, both completely lucid, explaining their philosophy. Recorded November 8, 2024. 2 months before he supposedly started experiencing cognitive decline. I'd been waiting for this. So, what do you think? Did my father go too far, or was I justified in cutting them off? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more family drama stories.